Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Life Coaching Certification course, Module 2. Before we actually move forward to Module 2, I just want to do a brief recap of Module 1. The first thing that we went over in Module 1, we went over what is life coaching and what it's not, and some key things that we talked about as it relates to what is not life coaching. We talked about it's not counseling, it's not therapy, and it's not advising. We also talked about the International Coaching Federation, and we talked about some specific terminology surrounding that. We talked about the Code of Ethics, and the Code of Ethics are used to govern us, meaning govern coaches, business coaches and life coaches. They've tried to create some form of regulations under their umbrella to help govern us. And we also talked about the core competencies. So there are 4 different categories that fall there are 4 different categories, and there are 11 core competencies that fall up under those categories. So just for example of some of the core competencies, there's active listening, there's powerful questions, building a rapport with a client, just to name a few. We will be doing some hands-on activities. I'm going to drop a question in the Moodle form to see what's your availability, if we could do some online forum time where we can all get together and maybe do some practice on some case studies and things of that nature. So I'll drop a question in the discussion forum to see what everyone's availability is during the week so we could try to have some meetup time. Before we actually move forward, I want to make sure that you have the necessary materials. You have your course manual for the course. I've also included a PowerPoint for Module 2 that you can follow, and you will need your shape book. Okay, because we're going to start going over some of the different areas and shape. Okay, so I will give you a moment to go ahead and grab your materials, and then we will jump over into sharing my desktop so we can start going over Module 2. So I'll give you a moment. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and we are live. Again, some of the items that you're going to need for Module 2 that you can reference. Again, I have the PowerPoint presentation that I've included in Moodle. You have your course manual that you can follow along. You can follow along in your course manual as well, and you have the shape book that you should reference. So those are just 3 materials that you can use as we're going through Module 2. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me one moment. Okay, we're going to go into full view. Should be able to still see me up in the corner there. All right, I think we're good. Okay, so for Module 2, these are just a couple of the objectives. So we're going to increase your understanding of who you are. So it's very important as a coach that in order for you to serve and support people, you have to understand who you are. And chapter 1 specifically talks about you being a masterpiece created by God. I have to be honest with you, the coaching market is very oversaturated. There are so many people wanting to do coaching. But one of the things is you have to realize that you have a unique blueprint, that God created you special. You're a masterpiece. No one else is like you. One of my favorite sayings is calling and competition don't mix. You can't focus on being competitive with other people. You have to truly just hone in on your calling, and you have to walk in that and not worry about what other people are doing, because if you're doing that, you're going to totally miss it. So it's about really being able to understand who you are so that you can show up and really be able to walk in your gifts and be effective in the work that you do in your ministry. So that's one of the key things, understanding who you are. Identify those factors that help to shape you. So, they talk about in the book, finding your unique sweet spot, and that's something that I use in my business, but everything kind of coupled together, meaning your spiritual gifts, your heart, your abilities, your personality, and your experience, being able to combine all of those back together. And that makes you who you are. So being able to find those factors that help to shape you. Use your understanding of who you are to help you coach your clients. again, being able to tap into some of your experiences, your gifts. Some of the things that I know over years, I've always been really good as far as strategizing. That's one of my many skill sets. So it's something that I've always done, and I've been able to bring that over into my ministry to be able to help people to establish movements in ministries, to be able to help people in the world, to bring about change in the world. So it really helped me to really hone in on my shape. Some of these things I already knew. Some of the things, it was like a rediscovery process for me. But it really helped me, and it was beneficial so I can better serve and support my clients. And use strategies to maintain your own personal and professional vision statement. I know for me, it was ideal for everyone in my family to go to college, to work in corporate America, to make good money, to, all of these different things. And for me, when I started in the world of entrepreneurship, a lot of people in my family didn't understand because they had a totally different vision for, they were thinking, okay, we built this foundation for the people in our family. That's what they're supposed to do. But for me, it was very important to me to walk in my calling and to do what I was put on this earth to do. And so a lot of people may not necessarily understand your vision. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to understand that God is going to provide you with the resources and the support system that you need in order to fully execute. Everybody's not going to get it. And that's because they're not meant to get it. They're not supposed to. I know T.D. Jakes often uses the analogy. You have to understand the difference between a giraffe and a turtle. They see from two different places. You have to be able to identify those people that are those turtles, and you can't expect any more from them. That's who they are, and their vision, they see from two different places. So you have to be open and okay with that. Everybody's not going to be passionate about your calling. Everybody's not going to push and support you. And so you have to be okay with that. And you have to know that God is going to surround you with the right people. He's going to line you up with the right people that's going to support you as you travel along this journey. So just wanted to kind of hone in on some of those things. Okay. All right. So getting in touch with yourself, that's basically what this module is about. So again, who you are, maintain your passion for what you do, maintain your personal vision, and helping your clients to discover who they are. Because this is something that you've done personally for yourself, and being able to establish a vision and set goals for yourself and create a plan, you can better assist your clients in helping them to achieve theirs. Okay. So again, I know for your reading this week, you went through Masterpiece, and we're going to start some discussions around that. So I think you did chapters 1 and 2, which you had Masterpiece and Spiritual Gifts, and we'll start some discussions in the forum as it relates to those 2 particular chapters. We're just going to go through and kind of review the acronyms for SHAPE, and we're going to give some examples for each acronym. Okay, so you have Spiritual Gifts for the S, you have for H is Heart, for A is Abilities, for P there's Personality, and for E that's Experiences. Okay, so what are the spiritual gifts? So these are the abilities that God bestowed upon you to be able to help others. So these are some of your different abilities. And I'm going to go to the next slide, and I'm sure some of you can identify. I'm sure you can identify with several of these. Okay, so you have administration, discernment, encouragement, evangelism, faith, giving, helps, hospitality, knowledge, leadership, service, and wisdom. So as you look through this list, I would like for you to kind of determine, and there's an exercise, I believe, in chapter 1 for Masterpiece. So one of the chapters that kind of helps you to better assess where you fall as it relates to these different gifts. So I want you to kind of think about that, and they could be multiple ones. It doesn't have to just be one. I know for me, administration, encouragement, faith, giving, I fall within several of these. So really start to think about, okay, what are some of my spiritual gifts as you're going through the chapters, and kind of help you, kind of start honing in on some of those things. Okay, the next acronym is HEART. These are the things that you're most passionate about. Okay, some examples of HEART: abortion prevention, divorce recovery, abuse prevention, drug abuse, health fitness, poverty, alcoholism prevention, help the homeless, disabilities, feed the hungry. Okay, so these are the things that you have a heart for, that you're passionate about. One thing that I realized long ago, I started a nonprofit for girls, boys, parents. I wanted to help everyone. You know, it was myself along with my business partner, and I had a number of program managers under the organization. So I wanted to help all these people. And one of the things that I realized at some given point as we began to progress in the program, that everyone wasn't as passionate about doing these things. So we lost a lot of people. You know, they were on board initially, but of course, if you're doing things without pay, a lot of people tend to fall off. So that's what happened. Myself, along with my business partner, we found ourselves trying to facilitate a lot of the programs. We were tutoring students, and here it is. I'm at tutoring sessions, trying to tutor students in math, and I'm not even good in math. But one of the things is I knew that I had already committed to wanting to help them. So I wanted to provide them with as much support as I could. So, you know, as time progressed, we had to stop with the nonprofit. We discontinued with it. But one of the things that God showed me as a result of that, He wanted me to have the heart for all of these different things, not because He wanted me to actually be the person to execute on these things, but He wanted me to have the heart so I can assist other people with walking in their calling. So understanding, when I work with my clients from the business coach perspective, they're in line with a lot of these things. You know, I have clients that focus on domestic violence. They focus on drug abuse, health and fitness. And the thing is, because at some point God has allowed me to experience these things, and because I'm passionate about it, I can better assist them. So I didn't realize that it wasn't my intention to serve all of these people, but God said, I want you to support the people that can. So as you're reading, really take the time to really hone in on some of these things to see which ones that you identify with the most. Okay, so next we have abilities. So these are your God-given talents that you can use to help yourself and help others to succeed. Some examples, and I fall under a lot of these. So analyzing, performing, coordinating, leading, mentoring, communicating, designing, motivating, teaching, editing, organizing, and writing. So again, there are some different exercises that are located in the book to kind of help you really identify with these things. But again, it could be multiple ones. I know for me, analyzing, that's something I've always done. As a project manager and being in the world of IT, it required that I put on my analytical hat. Coordinating events. I've always been a natural born leader, so leading is also a part of it. Mentorship, communicating, motivating. So again, you can definitely fall up under several of these, but it's about, again, being able to hone in on that. What are some of the things what are some of your abilities? And some of them you may already know. And some of these things, as you begin to read through the chapters, you're like, okay, you know, I really think this is something that falls in line with me. So then you begin to have a better understanding of how you respond to different things, or, you know, things of that nature. So kind of be able to go through the list and determine which ones you best identify with. Okay, personality. The way you present yourself to others because of the way that you're wired. I think it's important that we really hone in and understand our personality type so that we can work more effective with others, and also understanding other people's personalities, especially as a leader. You have to be able to know your team. A prime example is having an introverted versus an extroverted personality type. I'm an introvert. So I've learned to accept the fact that I'm an introvert and not compare myself with other people. And I've created a team of people that are a combination of both, and we work very well together, but it's about having an understanding of that and being able to respect each other, and really taking the time out to study people and to understand how they're wired, again, so you can better work with them. So it's not just about understanding your personality, but as you begin to build your A-team, as I like to call them, those are the people that support you and the people that you work in partnership with. Really take the time out as a leader to get to understand them and to know their personality. I know a lot of people, they do Myers-Briggs as well as different self-assessments. Those are very, very important because you can really determine where people fall within an organization. I know for introverts, one of the things is we like to take time out to work alone to kind of being able to understand certain things before we actually present them to a group. So most cases, I like to work by myself, and then I'm able to, once I come up with a solid solution, I'm able to bring it to a team versus just jumping out and brainstorming with the team. So it's about really being able to understand them so you're able to determine how they can best benefit an organization, and do it in such a way that they're comfortable, and then they can fully use their gifts and they can be comfortable with it. So it's very, very important. So again, understanding your personality type as well as the people that you're working with, the people that are around you. Okay, and these are some examples of personality: outgoing versus reserved, high risk versus low risk, self-expressive versus self-control, leader or a follower. And understanding that it's nothing wrong with being a follower as long as you're you're following the right people. Okay, because everybody's not necessarily, they're not necessarily leaders, but they're following the right people, and that's what's important. Cooperative versus competitive, a team player versus solo. Again, I think understanding how people are wired, understanding how they work best. They work more in group settings, or they may work better one-on-one. So I think it's important for you to understand. Okay, the next acronym, experiences. So these are the positive and negative things that you've encountered over a period of time in life. A prime example of this would be, I have a client that focuses specifically on domestic violence. Now, the reason she's developed a passion for this is because that's something that she experienced at a very young age as a child up into her teenage years. So she's been able to support and help other women overcome these challenges and provide them with different things and support and resources to be able to overcome these things, because that's something that she personally experienced. And experiences can be your work experience. I know for me, being a project manager over many years, it helped me as far as my business is concerned. So it also helped to benefit me in my business when I'm working with different clients on projects. I'm able to use that skill set and those experiences in working in corporate America to bring them into my business. So experiences can be a variety of different things. So you have educational, that's another great example, whether you have any type of technical experience, whether you've gone to college, whether you've done certification courses, whatever that may be, it can also be beneficial when it comes to your shape. Your work experiences, I gave an example of me working in corporate America. Again, having that project management background, it really provided me with the skill set needed for me to work hand in hand with my clients. So personal experiences, painful experiences. I gave the example about one of my clients that dealt with domestic violence, as you know, as in her childhood as well as her adulthood. So because of that, she's passionate about helping other people. And then as well as your ministry. So I have to go back into the ministry that I started when I had a nonprofit, because of the experience, the different things that I was able to gain from working with kids and teens and mothers. And I was able to use a lot of that experience to be able to support my clients when they're actually working in their ministry. So your education, work, personal, painful, and ministry experience can really help you to shape you. Okay, so takeaways from this week. We are all unique in our own special way, understanding that you were uniquely created. There's no one else like you. You have a unique fingerprint on this world. Your fingerprint is unique. There's people that are specifically assigned to you. This market, I cannot tell you enough, with coaches is oversaturated. There's so many different type of business coaches, personal coaches, whatever, life coaches. There's so many coaches. Focus on the calling. Don't focus on the competition. Really begin to be at a place where you develop your individual shape. By doing this, you can more effectively show up and serve your clients. So really hone in on those different things: your spiritual gifts, your heart, your abilities, your personality, and your experiences. And because you hone in on these things, you can better serve your clients. Okay? You should use your shape to succeed and help others. Again, being able to serve your clients. You are a masterpiece created to fulfill your purpose. God doesn't create junk. We were all created for a divine purpose. It's important that you tap into that and live out to your fullest potential. Okay? And most importantly, just be who you are. Follow your passion, follow the vision that God has given to you. He will provide you with all the resources, and we'll talk about that later on in the book, but he will provide you with all the resources everything that you need in order for you to truly be able to fulfill your purpose. So understand that as you're going through this chapter. Okay, so for one of your activities, we're going to focus on the will of life. Again, it's very important that as a coach that you truly get in touch with yourself. You cannot show up and be effective in serving a client, and I can say this time and time again, if you're not in a good place. Okay, oftentimes we try to serve from an empty cup instead of trying to serve from our overflow. That's when you start to get at a place of overwhelm, anxiety, frustration. So we want to make sure that we try to create balance in our life. And oftentimes we want to show up and we want to help everyone else, but we forget about ourselves. Specifically as women, I find that to be the case. We put on our Superwoman cape and we forget the fact that, and we find out in most cases that that cape is suffocating us because we're trying to be all things to all people, and we're putting ourselves on the back burner. So I really want to hone in on this for you to identify some of those areas that you need to focus on in your life so that you can be more effective. So that's what the wheel of life is. This is the actual wheel. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at all of these different areas on the wheel, and you can actually pick some of your own categories, but we have health, wealth, family and friends, playtime, hobbies and fun, relationships. Now that can be your personal relationships at work. It doesn't have to be connected with family and friends, but it can be work relationships. It can be dating. It can be anything that falls under that category. Again, you don't have to use all of these categories. You can change them up. Career and job, personal space. When do you have alone time? When do you truly unplug from the world and focus on you? And contribution and spirituality. So as you're looking at this particular example of the wheel of life, begin to mark on the lines and say, okay, where do I fall? I know in the past when I was working in corporate, I would often be at like a 9 or maybe like a 8 or a 9 when it came to career. But when I looked at my family and friends, I was like a 4 because I wasn't taking out time to spend time with them. I was more involved in my work. And there were times I remember years ago, I was so focused on my work, and I had a grandmother that my dad's mom lived in the Port Tampa area. And because I was so involved in my work and everything and traveling and doing all these things, I rarely got out there to see her. And then my grandmother passed away. And so it became very clear to me that I needed to reprioritize my things that were important, the things that I value the most in my life. And one of those things being my family and friends. So you want to go through and make the necessary adjustments. Nobody is a complete 10. Okay. So if you were a complete 10, you will have the full circle. That's not going to happen. That's impossible. It's totally impossible. So I want you to make the markings on the line. And I'll show you an example right after this, but you will make the markings on the line and then you can connect the lines, okay? 0 starts at the middle. 0 is at the center, okay? And then as you move towards the outer part of the circle, as you move closer to the actual word, that's moving further up. So you're starting from 0, which is the center, and then you're moving further up, counting from 1. Okay, so that's how you do it. It's all the way up to 10. Again, 10 would be a complete circle, and I doubt anybody's a complete circle, okay? So this is just an example. Okay, this doesn't have any categories on it, but it gives you some examples of where they kind of connect the lines to kind of do how they did their markings. And so this is obviously an unbalanced circle, an example of what, just an example of what your circle should look like. So this is just an example of what it should look like. Okay, so that's that. So this is the actual exercise, and you should have that in your course materials. And here's the example. Okay. At any point, if you have any questions regarding this assignment or any questions regarding the material that we covered, you can always drop it under this presentation in the Moodle environment, and I'll answer your questions. So you can drop it down there. Okay. So some of your assignments. Okay. You have your reading assignment, which is shape. So you have, we're doing chapters 3 and 4 for next week. Okay, so you want to do your reading assignment for shape. I'm also going to post some discussion questions out there, again, as it relates to the book. So I would like for you to go ahead and work on the discussion questions. I will possibly put a journal out there as well, and that's something that I would want you to send to me directly, so that it's something that you don't share with the group. It's something that I would read personally. So it's just kind of, as you're starting to read the material, as you're starting to go through the modules, is there any aha moments that you get? As you're reading the materials, it's something that comes to you saying, okay, this makes a lot of sense, or I can really identify with that. Okay. So that just gives me an idea that you're reading, that you're understanding the material. If you have any questions in mind, you can also put that in your journals or your reflections, and I'll answer your questions as well. So you have your reading, which is, again, chapters 3 and 4. You have your discussion questions, which I'm going to put out there in the forum, your journaling assignment. And then I would also like for you, again, I'm going to put another post out there for you to provide me with your availability. I would like to meet at least twice a month. And it will be through a Zoom environment. I have a platform called Zoom. And so we would meet where everyone can come online and we can have some discussions and we could do some case studies. If I need to split you out in different rooms online, we could do that. But I want you to actually get some hands-on practice, okay, since we're just doing the online self-study. So I want you to get some online practice. So I'll put that question out there as well. If you're able to provide me with your availability each week, meaning the day and the time, I'll be able to come back, kind of compare everybody's and see what day is best fitting for everyone. So I'm going to put that out there, answer that question, do the discussion question, the journal, and then the reading assignment. Any questions, you can always reach out to me. You can post it in the group. You can also email me at kimmy@kimmyscup.com. You can also reach out to me at 813-703-2877. Again, that's 813-703-2877. Thank you so much. This concludes the presentation. I will be back again next week with our next presentation, and enjoy the rest of your week. Any questions, reach out to me. Thank you so very much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.